Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Hey everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We are thrilled to death that you are listening to our show. That wasn't bad. Hey, legitimately, we're going to have a really good time tonight because we have...
Was that through your new Ibanez AD9?
Well, thanks for blowing my thing, man. I guess I'll have to save that for later and pretend it didn't happen.
No, you can still use it.
All right, I will.
You have permission.
So, we've got a guest on who it's going to be really tough to get a word in. I know it. He's a very impulsive, energetic character. This is... Who are you, guest?
Hey, guys. I'm Miguel from Stax Effects.
Okay, calm down.
All right.
Too many words. Yes, that's Miguel from Stax Effects. If you follow our Instagram, if you don't follow our Instagram, I mean, what the crap? Let's just, come on, guys, throw us a little bone and just follow us so that we can look like we have some sort of a life out there in the social world. We've been doing it for, 7 years or whatever it is.
800 years.
It's 22 years, and we were like plateaued like a year ago. I'm like, whoa, what? How's that possible? Because we still keep growing in numbers for the podcast. I don't get it.
I think
stupid algorithm.
Maybe the same people are following us.
No, they're just, I don't know, whatever. All I'm trying to say is...
Could you just follow us?
Yes.
Could you just follow us?
Just if everybody just does that. If everybody just sends us 1 penny.
Yeah. No, I don't even want a penny.
We just need a little click. But you will have seen the package opening that I like to do.
I did
Instagram,
see that.
Of the Stax Effects pedal that is sitting right before us. It is absolutely gorgeous. You are going to want to pay attention to this one, and you're going to want to go get one of these. I promise you.
Buy 2.
2 of them, yes. Then you can do stereo.
Yeah.
Or stack them.
Yeah, or stack them. Anyways, we're going to get on with this. Before we do, where can people find the things that you do, Miguel?
Everything I have available is on staxeffects.com. It is only available there.
Okay, so you're not selling them on Instagram?
No, but I do have a link to my site from...
Okay. Yeah, the shop, the Instagram shop is a little tricky to do. And some people just are like, no, I don't want it to go there. I just want to sell off my thing. It's fine.
Yeah.
Great. So go check out Instagram. He's got some great demos up there that he's put up recently, specifically for the said pedal we're going to dive into shortly. And without further ado, we're going to get into what's been going on in our music world this week. We're going to start off with the lovely, insatiable, baggy t-shirted behemoth of the Midwest, Tanya Belansky.
I will agree with all of those.
What's going on in your music world this week?
Well, Todd, I'm getting ready for a trip out west. My daughter's getting married in San Luis Obispo. And so...
Got to go to Solvang, got to get the pastries.
I know about the pastries.
I know.
I've got it
Don't
marked.
mess it up.
But I'm mapping out some guitar shop visits.
Ooh.
I had hoped that I was going to be able to get in time to Ernie Ball Music Man, who is they're based out of San Luis Obispo, but I just my schedule's all mixed up.
Yeah.
And then on the way home, we're going to stop in Denver, and there's a couple of shops that I like to go to in Denver.
Nice.
And then come home.
Okay.
But so that's all that foreplanning. I'm actually leaving in a couple days, so
that's very exciting. I'm going to be. I'm always sad when Tony leaves because then I have to scramble and figure out what to do.
And our good friend Jared was just up this week. He stopped by yesterday to pick up his Les Paul telephone.
Finally got his guitar phone.
But
I've been asking for that for years.
So
Jared hasn't bothered to get it.
Jared says, these things are going for $1 million. And I said, okay, let me check it out. So I went on to eBay.
$39.99.
The guy wanted $49.99 plus shipping. And it was or make best offer. So I offered him $40 for it.
Did you get it?
I got it.
Nice.
That's fantastic. So we'll put it back up
Yeah,
here.
we'll put it back up.
You could have just shipped that one to Jared, and then he would have saved the gas
I think
money.
mine's in better shape, and it has the original box with it.
What?
Yeah, for
That's
$40.
fantastic.
Offer it to him for $500,000.
Yeah, there you go.
So take that, Jared.
Oh boy, Jared.
So that was my music world this week.
Yes, we were lucky enough to have him. It's tricky to get a hold of our good buddy Jared. I think Gibson's got him very, very busy because I think his deck is done, and yeah, so we don't have to talk about that anymore.
Yeah, no more deck talk.
Sorry, everybody. Anyhow, so that's really cool. Go check out some shops and stuff. Make some friends. Say hi.
Yeah.
Yada yada. Pick up a couple things, maybe.
Yeah, my wife is with me.
So to make her carry them.
Oh, perfect idea.
Duh.
Twice as much stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. She can pull the wagon behind.
Yeah. So Miguel, let's check out what are you up to in your guitar week this week? Besides, if you can, besides building pedals.
Yeah, well, besides the building of the pedals, I do. We've been working on this album we've been trying to finish recently with my band, so that can always be something that turns out to be way longer than you kind of initially anticipated, especially when you're tracking everything yourself. So we've been trying to, wrap it up, get it finished so we could release it. And yeah, it's just a lot of things trying to come together.
Excellent. It's where are you at in the process?
Currently, we're kind of starting to mix, but realizing we need a few more things. So we're kind of in that stage where we're going to add like a couple more things just to sprinkle in here and there, and then really get to mixing, and then hopefully finish quickly. But, it's we're doing it ourselves, so that always takes longer because it's like it becomes your passion project, and,
Yeah, it's never really perfect.
It's never finished.
Yeah.
You just got to cut it loose at some point and be like, okay, this is good.
Do you enjoy recording more than playing live, or is it even?
It's probably about even, because the only thing I really went to school for was audio engineering. So I kind of I love just getting sounds, trying new stuff. That's I enjoy that just as much as building pedals. But it's I love playing live. Don't get me wrong, but it's you got good shows and bad shows, but I feel like the studio is more of what you can make of it.
Sure. Now, you're the de facto? Does everybody ask you? Does it people are you like at the control of everything?
Well, when it comes to like the equipment, like I'll of course I'll run like the Pro Tools rig, and I'll set up the mics and get the sounds, but we all give our input. It's very much a 4-way production. We have 4 members, and everyone has their input. Our drummer Ryan, actually, he's probably the one that produces the most out of all of us, and like when it comes to us writing our music. So he normally has a lot of input. When I'm mixing, he'll usually want to be here and kind of give his opinion, what we should try, this and that. And of course it's great, because if I just worked on it myself, it's just like, it sounds good, but it's nice to have someone, give their opinion on maybe it actually sounds like crap and you're told, or maybe it is good.
Yeah.
And you need to stop like searching for sound so much. Like, this is it. Like, let's just track it.
Do you have a do you set up your rig in the studio differently than you play live? Are you like got all the amps and which ones sound good in the studio, but they're different live, or is it one to one?
Actually, no. I use the exact same rig in here. as I do live. Well, when we track, I might try, a different amp here or there, depending on what we're going for. But usually it's always the same amp, this like deluxe style amp I built a while back ago. And
when you say deluxe style, you mean deluxe reverb style, or is like it's just a really cool thing that you made?
It's deluxe.
Yeah,
it's a deluxe reverb style, but I made some changes, and I actually called it a Taco Deluxe.
Man, yeah, honestly, that's like one of those names. If you put that out there, you would never stop. You'd never have to work another day in your life. You would. You'd have to build them all. But what I mean is, everybody would buy it.
Well, see, but if
Taco Deluxe, are you kidding me? I'd buy that just to have an amp called the Taco Deluxe, man.
But, if you called it the Taco Supreme, you could at least get a cease and desist from Taco Bell.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
Those are fun to post on the wall.
They are. Yeah. I'm hoping
And
to
it'd go viral.
Well, yeah. Is that something that people can buy from you?
Well, yeah, actually.
As of now?
Well, now that you mention it.
Yeah, sure.
I don't build them to sell them. It's more like a custom order thing.
Oh,
Like
labor of love.
Build to order.
Yeah, like if someone really wants an amp, they'll approach me, and usually I can tell if they're serious or not. And then we'll go into, well, what do you like? Like, what are the sounds that you're imagining? Like, well, who are the players you like if they don't really know?
You're like the Rick Rubin of
models?
pedal building and stuff.
Well, I think the fact that I play all the stuff and use it live kind of helps me get a better perspective. And I mean, I've been playing music for so long and with so many people, and everyone is just so specific, or can be very specific when it comes to their sound or their gear. Even if they don't know gear specifics, like they're very specific of their tone. Like, they like throw out names like, I want to sound like this person or this person.
Right.
And you can kind of get a good idea of just by what they tell you.
Yeah, I can dig it. Are you sitting cross-legged?
No, actually.
I'm just checking. Just trying to get because it's impossible not to see, to have when you're talking about that, to not envision Rick Rubin.
No.
Anyways,
Oh my God.
yes. Okay. So that's cool. I love hearing the studio stories and stuff like that. It's one of those things that if you are making music of any kind, if you're playing guitar and you're like, geez, I really want to go record this someday, it can be an incredibly daunting and exciting thing. But I think what I've found is that it's one of those things where the more you do it, the more questions you ask.
Right.
As opposed to asking all the questions up front, because it's just sort of like, this is such a completely alien new thing, and I just better keep my mouth shut and play, Not everybody feels like that, of course, but I mean, I kind of did. But now I just ask too many questions, and John hates me. No, John doesn't hate me, but
Well, I'm someone that asks a lot of questions myself, so I understand where you're coming from. It's, as you do something more and more, you kind of see more you see more specifics and things, and that brings more questions.
I'm going to touch on this really quick. That what I've found is if I'm working with somebody on like asking for a pedal, or working on a pedal, or trying to figure out how to do something that isn't particularly my thing, or I'm working with somebody who needs my services that isn't particularly their thing, I think you tend to get the most helpful questions out of that, because people in that position typically don't know how to solve it, which is usually when you are working with somebody who kind of knows what they're doing, they try to solve things and try to get to the same conclusion that you might be able to get to already, and it's really easy, and you're like, yeah, no, I already tried that. No, that's not going to work because blah, 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 blah. But when people ask questions in different ways, like, for instance, I don't understand I guess some of the more specifics about, as far as like, sound waves and what some of the mechanics, the audio mechanics go into it, right?
Right.
I can clearly talk about it really great, but I have ideas about stuff. So when we've been working on a couple things, me and my partner at Flint, and I say, okay, I have an idea, and I want this to sound like, not tight distortion like a comb, like a men's comb, but like a woman's shampoo comb. And he's like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what you're saying. Because I don't know. I'm just trying to say, like, I want the distortion like more spread out than tight and hairy,
Right.
And it might be because if I don't know how to solve it, I can ask questions in different ways. And I appreciate that when people are asking that of things that I know how to do in my daily professional life. I just think it's a curious thing. You don't have to know everything. You can still ask great questions. And in fact, your outcome might be even more fantastic than if you had a bunch of people just... Here's a good example. Can I throw another one? Will you indulge me, Miguel?
Yeah, please.
All right. I was just walking through a video that I worked on with my good friend Mark, who did the sound for it. And who I'll probably be mentioning here shortly. But Mark DiCenzo was the one who figured out our podcast rig before Rode came up with it, essentially. And is a fantastic music engineer. He was working on this video for me for a client in California, and we were it was like a food video for a very famous pizza organization. And
Delicious.
we had all these pros. Like, the whole room was filled with like people who shoot film all day long. And I was trying to get this idea of like when you turn on the flame, I wanted to see like the blues and the greens and the reds and everything, and almost have it like crackle, just like some sort of cue of like, not only is the fire on, but imagination is on. And they all looked at me like, oh, great, we got to work with this guy, right? I mean, because they're like, that's not going to happen. I'm like, what do you mean it's not going to happen? They're like, well, we're going to show you. Turn on the lights, do other things, shoot the stuff, see, you can't see it. I'm like, well, turn off the lights. But then we can't really see the thing. Well, then, let's put a little bit of light on it. Don't light the whole fire. Anyways, we went back and forth. And I wasn't giving up because this was a really key shot. And we finally got it to do the flame that I wanted. And I'm like, I need a little something. They're like, we can do that in post. I'm like, we're not going to do that in post. There's got to be a way to do that. There isn't a way. We're wasting time. We need to get moving. Producer comes over. He's like, dude, I know what you're trying to do. But like, these guys are like, we're burning hours. I'm like, we can do it. And I said, do you have any salt? And the chef over there was like, yeah, here's some salt. So I said, light the flame. So, I said, roll it. They hit the turn it on, and I sprinkled salt way above. And guess what? It all crackled and went, and I was like, that's imagination. Bang, shoot it, print, cut, all the things.
Nice.
But it's because I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I'm not the one who's operating all the equipment, and all of them said that was not doable.
But enough about me. What do you think about me?
Huh? No. I'm just trying to...
I thought this was Miguel's podcast.
I'm trying to relate. I'm not trying to... I hope that doesn't come out sound as narcissistic. That's not my point. I was just... I was agreeing with him about the point of when you're asking questions, sometimes like you can get answers that... Or you can get to things that you might not have thought of if you think you know everything.
Ah.
Right?
You're blocked.
Yeah.
So my point, sorry, if that came off like, as Tony said, I truly apologize. That wasn't my point. The point was, it was a good example of you don't have to know everything to still be able to ask great questions that can make things amazing happen.
All right, go stand in the corner for 15 minutes.
Should I take that out?
No, it was fine.
I don't want it to sound
I'm just yanking your chain,
All right,
Todd.
well, I just,
you know.
All right.
Hopefully
Hopefully you guys get it. Okay.
Mr.
Miguel, I'm
Serious
sorry.
here.
I'm sorry.
No apologies.
Okay, good. See, he doesn't want me to apologize.
What
All
about
right.
you, Todd?
Oh, jeez. All right. Well, this is
Do it.
actually really fun.
Talk about this one.
What?
Talk about this.
I'm going to talk about that later because I just dropped my friend Mark's name.
Oh.
What I got, I went over and hung out with him the other night. We do that often, and he has got one of the hugest record collections I have ever seen.
Vinyl?
Yes. What kind of records do you think?
Yeah.
Like Guinness Book of
There's
Records?
Guinness Book. There's automotive records.
I
There's
guess so, yes. He's got the criminal records. I mean, I'm not really sure. Yes, this is
the longest rap sheet.
Yes. This is it's a vinyl, and we were talking about stuff, and we like to do things for each other. And he said, so tell me, what are your top couple of records? And I said, well, actually, my daughter's just got me the release of the Stone Roses.
Oh, the Stone Roses.
I love the Stone Roses.
I thought Clash would be at the top of your
love
list.
the Stone Roses. And I wanted to get the original, first pressing theme. This is crazy money. It's kind of silly money.
Yeah.
Which I would be tempted to spend. But he said, okay, well, but he gave me these notes from the to the record store or to the publicity notes.
Oh.
It says Silvertone Records, the Stone Roses, and it's copied. Someone hand typed. It was hand typed.
Hand typed stuff.
And it was basically the release of so this is who they are, and this is why they're great, and this is what you can tell people who come in to want to buy it and stuff like that. And then there was and here's the accolades. They got the top 30 best-selling, Stop the Press, readers polls, all this insider stuff. So I'm not sure if this was radio stuff or record store stuff. I'm not really sure, but he had it. He said, hang on, let me go. And he gave it to me. I'm like, wow, that's really cool. I got a little piece of musical history here.
That's kind of neat.
That's awesome.
It's really cool.
How different the music industry is today.
Yeah. And it's all yellow. There's some grease stains where a sandwich probably was on it at some point. Not too bad, but
Yeah.
anyways, I was just thrilled to death. I was really tickled by that. So thank you so much, Mark. I love stuff like that. Tony, you got me all self-conscious now. Doggone it. But anyways, I digress. Hey,
nobody digresses better than you, Todd.
That's true. That's true. In fact, I'm going to digress real quickly because I wanted to share something. I know this is your episode. Trust me. I understand that, Miguel. I'm really tempted to take that out now.
No, just leave it.
Anyways,
You're fine.
okay. So this is from Trevor Ellenberg.
Trevor.
who's one of our new executive producers.
Yes, he is.
He says, Todd, I always ask people to join. Why did you join? Tell us about yourself. What kind of gear you playing?
Why
Yada,
doesn't
yada,
he
yada.
ever address? Well, why don't I ever get addressed in this? Everything's Todd. Todd.
Well,
Todd.
it's from my email. I can put Todd and Tony if you like. And he says, hey, I have an hour-long commute to work, so listening to the podcast has been my favorite way to make the long drives more manageable. I've become a patron to say that thanks for the many laughs and vast guitar wisdom you have all shared. I would say specifically, Tony, you're
of course.
huge
Throw me a bone, Todd.
No, that's
Throw
not
me a bone.
Oh, all of my things I'm trying to be sincere about. As for gear, I'm a Gibson guy at heart, but I also have a good Fender as well. My main guitars are a 2017 Les Paul Standard HP. I'm hesitant to admit that I secretly don't hate the robot tuners. And the 2016 Memphis ES335.
Yeah.
For Fender, I have a matching set. Ooh, a matching set. You have my attention. Matching set of limited edition made in Mexico Noir guitars from 2016. A Strat, a Tele, and a P-Bass. Noir.
Whoa.
Black.
Yes, I know that. I was just thinking if they weren't the the real the thin ones. The
Aerodyne?
Yeah, the Aerodyne.
Oh, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe.
Are they black?
They are all black.
Oh, that makes sense then.
Well, it might be. So, Trevor, tell us if we're right. It says they sound good as they look. I won't go through all the pedals, but if I had to pick 4 on the floor, hey-o.
Hey.
It would be. Now I smell a Segway. Exotic boost. I never turn it on, or I never turn it off.
EP boost.
EP boost. What did I say?
You said exotic boost.
Well, I was getting there. Exotic EP boost. Yeah,
I
interrupting you all the
will
time.
agree with them.
I never turned it off and can't play without it. Honorable mention to the SP compressor as well.
Now that would go against the grain of our good friend Zach from Mythos.
Mm-hmm.
He does not like the idea of having it all on all the time.
That's true. The Strymon Sunset. That is a really nice pedal.
That is a nice pedal.
Incredibly versatile overdrive. Bonus points for MIDI.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a weird thing about the Sunset, and throw rocks if you want. We should just sell a bag of guitar knob rocks so people can throw them at me. So
we'll do that along with the tire that I'm going to take to the next guitar show for people to kick.
Right.
Our guitar shows end up with nothing but tire kickers.
Yes, that is true. The Strymon Sunset to me almost sounded like too smooth.
You think?
I did.
Huh.
I when I played, I was like, it almost sounds like too perfect. Like I didn't. It sounded great, but I needed a little bit more.
Maybe too digital.
A little too more. No, it's too smooth.
Well, it is a DSP. Not that matters, but
yeah, it's I don't know. It just did. I needed a little bit more jagged edges on the teeth there. Okay. A little bit, just a little bit. Yeah, it's just me. Whatever. But it sounded great. I was very impressed. The Murim Shanks ODS 1. Pricey.
I don't know
but
that one.
probably the best overdrive pedal I've ever played. That one is kind of like it's like a smoky gold black. Pretty sure. He says 100% worth it. And the Eventide H9 covers a lot of bases. Great for a small board if you still want a lot of options. For his amps, his main amp is a Marshall DSL 40 CST. There's a lot of, that's an alphabet soup right there. And I also play through a Fender Superchamp X2 from time to time, which is an incredible little amp for the price point. Favorite part of the show is probably finding out what's new in everyone's week. Well, you're going to love this show. Hearing what everyone is playing and the gear you are trying inspires me to dive into new possibilities myself. I found out about the podcast from Tom Barazin. Whoa! Tom Barazin. Who is one of my best friend's dad.
Oh.
Well... So Trevor's either very young or Tom's very old. One of the two.
Or some combination.
I don't have many people to nerd out with about guitar with, nerd with gear with. So it's always fun talking pedals with them, etc. And that's really cool that he knows Tom.
Yeah.
Anyways.
They must be from the same area, I guess?
They must be.
Okay.
Listening to the podcast has gotten me through countless long commutes, so supporting you is the least I can do to say thank you for all the knowledge and entertainment I've received from the show. Thank you so much. Seeing new episodes come out is always a highlight of my week. Well, I mean, can you make us feel any better? Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sending that out.
Do you think he follows us?
He might. I don't know. I got to look. Thanks, Trevor. Anyways, speaking of segues, no, tour year. What you're trying to do is say, let me get some of those tour gear designs patch cables.
Let me get some of those tour gear design patch cables.
There you go. That's the gusto we need. Hey, Miguel, are you familiar with tour gear design patch cables?
I am not.
Oh, your life is... We're going to change your life right now.
Your life is changing as we speak.
Oh, my gosh. So, Tour Gear Designs patch cables, they are...
Thin.
Flat.
Like a crepe.
Flat. And the neatest thing about them is the actual, like,
plug
diameter.
Yes.
The plug itself is almost the exact same size as like the washer that goes around that goes under the nut. I mean, it's such a small footprint, which is very, very helpful if you're doing a bunch of top mount jacks with the power supply and everything in there.
Yeah.
And they do S shapes and C shapes.
And soon the W shape.
Right. Sony says. So say you got an old Ibanez pedal.
Yeah.
And you have one of these delicious Stax Effects pedals.
Side to
you're
top.
gonna want an S-shaped pedal.
Yeah.
Or an S-shaped cable.
Can you explain how that would work?
It goes one inside and goes in the other.
Okay.
All right. So head over to tourgeardesigns.com and load up your cart. They're crazy affordable and they
durable,
tons of links. And people, I cannot more highly recommend these things. When you get them in your cart, you're going to want to put the guitar knobs and save yourself 10% on your entire order. Okay?
Yep.
Thank you to Tour Gear Designs for sponsoring our Four on the Floor. Tony.
Yeah, let me get a little bit of this.
Wow.
1, 2, 3. Four on the floor.
All right, Miguel from Stax Effects. Give us your four on the floor.
All right, so my four on the floor is my favorite one. Is just a Boss delay. It's a DD6, but it has this warp function on it. It's only on the 6 and on the DD8, and I only use that function on that pedal. So you can like push it down and it'll just have like this, I want to say infinite feedback, but it's not really. It's kind of tamed down. So you could do like volume swells and hold them with it. And it's really cool. That's mainly what I use it for. And then if
you don't use it for the delay?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm just checking.
No, while it's on, while it's on, it's doing the delay thing. But when you push and hold the foot switch,
got it. Okay,
does that warp function. And then the second pedal is actually one I kind of recently got, but it's the Chase Bliss Generation Loss.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That thing is really cool. It's like it's sort of its main thing is it mimics tape like sounds. Mm-hmm. So like it'll do just like cool like warbly kind of tape sounds. It could do like a crinkly thing. It has like a damage control, so you could turn it up, and it has like pauses where it kind of cuts out or introduces noise. But it also has a second foot switch, which if you press it down, it kind of does like this like it has different. These pedals are nuts, right? They do a bunch of stuff.
Yes.
What I mainly use it for is just some like kind of vibrato. But then I have the second foot switch to program to. When you hit it, it kind of does like a downward slide of the pitch.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Like real slow. And then when you hit it again, it brings it up at the same rate. It's really cool.
Kind of like a penny whistle.
Yeah. Stick your guitar through a penny whistle, and that's what it's doing. Yeah.
Now, does that one have an option to put a expression pedal into it?
It does. It's like it's got an expression input, and then it has like these little toggles up at the top of the pedal where you can select what you want to use the expression with. So you can program the different parameters to the expression pedal.
Don't forget the dip switches.
Yeah, those dip switches, and then you can save it all as a preset.
Now that's pretty
bananas.
Cool. Wow, and it pops popcorn.
Yes, delicious popcorn.
Man,
it saves ice.
What's number 3?
Number 3 is pedaled by this company called Dirty Haggard Audio. Mm-hmm. I believe
they've been on the
Portland. Show. Yeah, he's great, super nice guy. He has this pedal called the Arachnid. It's like his take on a Fender blender. Like he kind of minimized the circuit just down to gain and mix. Mm-hmm. And it's just I love it. It's so good. It does like that thing where you turn your guitar volume down and it's not as fuzzy, but the octave's still there. Like it's really cool. It's so good. I bought 2 of them just because I have 2 different settings for it on my board. And it's just a freaking great pedal.
Yeah, it's a cool looking pedal too. I mean, like it's hard to do. It's in the world of skulls in rock and roll. It is difficult to make it look cool without it looking
Fromage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's German for cheese. Yeah, we had that pedal in here. We played around with it, and yeah, it's a fun one for sure. And he was a good dude. Good to have on the show. If you're interested in that, Tony's going to tell you in a second what episode that was, so you can go back and go directly and listen to it.
Yeah, so that one's really awesome. Like I said, I have two. One's a little more gained up than the other, but they're both, awesome. And it replaced my Octafuzz, which was always cool, but this one just cuts so much more. It was just a no-brainer. And then
Todd.
Hang on.
That would be,
wait. This just in.
Beep 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 beep. That would be episode number 170.
Wow, that was a long time ago.
That was that actually was
math.
it was
What's the math?
April 30th in 2020. That's when it was.
How many? That's 150 ago. Close to that. 153.
Over 150.
Is it? Don't let me do your taxes.
Oh, you'd be great in front of the IRS. I don't know. I failed algebra 3 times.
It's
You do the math.
funny because it's true. Oh dear. Out of curiosity, are you friends with Dirty Haggard now, or
yeah, I speak to him. On Instagram here and there.
Cool.
But yeah, his stuff's awesome. Definitely check it out.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Onward and upward. Number 4.
For number 4, the last one is it's actually the super fuzz that Low Sounds makes.
Ah, yes.
Brilliant.
We
pedal,
got that pedal.
Oh, I love that thing so much.
That pedal is a big sounding pedal.
Yes.
Wow.
But it's got like the clarity that the original didn't. It doesn't. It depends how you have it. Like, it's really cool. It does a lot.
Well, as with most fuzzes and distortions and things, I mean, depending on where you have your guitar set, where you have your amp set,
Right.
I mean, it can sound completely different in every.
Just messing around with the tone knob.
Yeah.
Especially with the fuzzes and octaves. Holy mackerel. You can
Yep.
really get some crazy stuff out of there.
Nice.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the biggest sounding fuzz pedals I have.
Yeah. Great for bass, too.
Oh, nice. I haven't even tried it on bass. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking gonna have to do that.
Yeah, that's one that we messed around with on bass. We were trying that one out, and we had, I think because of the second amp that we were using, it ended up almost a little too boomy. And we ended up using the Dr. No Colossus to try to get a little bit more almost like a squeal, because it's got a bit of an octave to it. So anyhow, well, thank you for sharing your 4 on the floor, and shout out to Aisha Lowe, making the good stuff out there, and a delightful human being.
Yep.
So let's get on with finding more out about Stax Effects. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a gorgeous pedal. I'm going to go on about this because it is truly handsome. This is one of those pedals where you go like, okay, I just want to play around. I just want to keep playing with this, playing it and playing with it, because you have created an overdrive pedal, and it's called a Zeñor.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain that real quick?
Well, it's actually just something I used to still call my cat. I don't know why it started, where I got it from, and then a couple of guys at work, we just started calling that. We just started saying that to each other, as dude or whatever, Zeñor, I don't know. And then when I was trying to think of a name, it's that just seems very fitting for some reason.
I like it. And there's no other pedals called the Zeñor, right?
No, I actually look it up now because there was one time where I was about to release something and there was already something with that name, and I was like, oh, this is something I should check from now on. So I definitely do a deep, Google dive, make sure no one's made anything called that. So nothing named Zeñor, actually. So
Perfect.
I love it.
Well, now there is, doggone it. Now, let's discuss the pedal real quick here, because this is somewhat the star of the show. Then we do want to find out a little bit about how this came about. So, what is the genesis of this pedal? Knowing ahead of time, for those that haven't seen it yet, this is a highly versatile overdrive. And that seems to be the keystone of like what this is about.
Yep. Yeah, so it's I would maybe closely it has a couple things going on. There's it's got a clean, like a blend for your clean signal and the overdrive path. So the overdrive path, I would say, is probably closest to something like a Timmy, or, I mean, it's not very tube screamerish at all.
Yeah,
Except
I'd agree with that. I didn't catch any, tube screamer overtones. It was a little more woody and.
Right. Well, you might easily jump to that, because there is one of the most prominent things on is you have a mid control. Mm-hmm. And it's not just more mid, less mid. You didn't treat you got your tone controls. Talk about those real quick. Let's do that.
Yeah. So typically, when they're designing, when someone is designing an overdrive, they'll pick certain values and kind of commit to it, when they're voicing their pedal. Mm-hmm. So what I did is I used a wide range, gave kind of each stage a wide range of control, but allowed you to dial in between the extremes and how am I going to explain this? Like the way the bass control works. Uh-huh. It's actually controlling how much bass you're distorting, how much of the low frequencies you're allowing to be clipped
into the
by
signal.
the op amp.
Yeah.
Yeah. So typically how that's done is there's two caps going to either ground or reference voltage off of the feedback loop. So I just have two, instead of voicing it with a single cap and resistor network, however one would decide to do it, I used caps with two caps of a bigger value and a smaller value, and just put a resistor between them, so you could kind of decide how much of the bass you're going to be distorting or overdriving.
Now, for those who may not be familiar with what a cap is,
it's a capacitor.
Okay. Thank you.
And then
and those who may not be familiar with what a resistor is.
Yeah.
Then I don't know.
Then stay the hell out of the pedal.
Yeah. Well, actually, let's just touch on that for a second, because I know we get new listeners all the time of varying degrees. Can you, in primary terms, explain what a resistor does?
Well, a resistor in basic terms is just going to add resistance to a signal. If you have a level that's a signal that's a certain level, you put it through a resistor, you're going to be cutting it by however large that resistor is. Mm-hmm. They use resistors in stages of circuits to couple stages together, right?
Yeah, like bending a hose, a garden hose.
Yeah. You can just think of a signal flow like a hose,
Yeah.
You either the hose is going to be, let's say, it's just going to reduce the flow a little bit.
Yeah. It can be wide open or it can be clamped down.
Yeah. And capacitor?
A capacitor is something that's going to be more like, think of it like a tank that's going to, like a reservoir that's going to hold like water in between a line. So something that is going to actually it actually stores voltage, right? Mm-hmm. So, but they're used in different ways depending on how you use them. You can use them. They're also used to couple signal paths And then they're also used for tone shaping. Like I said, those caps going to ground off the feedback loop that decide how much bass you want to distort. You can also use them to cut high end by putting the cap in your signal path and that cap going to ground in series, then cuts high end. You can use them for multiple things.
And so what you've done here, like we're talking about the bass.
Thank you for that, by the way.
The bass control is you've inserted, instead of a fixed resistor value, you've put in a potentiometer, which is basically a variable resistor. So you can change how much or how little of the bass is going into the distortion circuit.
Yes,
exactly. And that's similar to, well, basically how the Timmy has its bass control wired up. But it's a little different, but it's the same idea.
I think it's also kind of neat. You didn't, they're just not numbered or anything, which would imply that you just get more or less of. But
yes,
you showed how the actual, the body, the drive body looks kind of like a shelf. It's going to be, going to the high end of that or on the low end of that. So you actually made some kind of nice little diagrams to help visualize exactly what's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate that.
Just make it easier. I've had pedals that don't even tell you what it is. It's like a picture or some weird word or something.
Like an orange amp.
Yes. Yeah.
What does that picture mean?
Yeah. We also have a volume knob, duh. A drive knob, duh. But, ooh la la, a blend knob.
That's a nice touch.
Dry or wet around there. I really love blend knobs. I think they're fun. I think it's one of the most versatile things to get a sound that you want that doesn't just sound like whatever the pedal has to offer.
Exactly.
And in overdrive, I think it's a great way to get an overdriven sound, but still, if you kind of hold back on it makes your picking a lot more prominent. It can.
Yeah. It adds clarity.
Yeah. I'm struggling on. What am I saying?
It just
the dynamics of the picking tend to come out a little bit if that's something that you like.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Right. Yeah.
Cool stuff. And then over on the far right hand side of your tone menu, I think they call it on the streets. I love mini toggles too, and I was not let down with this one.
Nice. So those are what picks the clipping, kind of the flavors of drive you're getting. And
so the top one you choose between either a MOSFET or a germanium. And what is the middle position? That's just straight up op amp.
Yeah. So. Okay. It's just no diodes at all.
Oh, no diodes. Okay.
Yeah. And
then the lower switch switches or toggles between asymmetrical and symmetrical. Can you explain that a little bit so people can kind of get an idea?
Yeah, of course. So different pedals will have either symmetrical or asymmetrical. Like a Tube Screamer has symmetrical clipping. Mm-hmm. That means what it's doing to the sound wave is it's clipping it evenly at the, when you imagine a sound wave, the way you would see it like on an audio analyzer, you got the troughs, right, up and down. So when you're clipping, you're partially clipping the tops and bottoms of those troughs. So if you're symmetrically clipping, you're going to be clipping just as much from the top and the bottom of the signal. If you're asymmetrically clipping, you're going to be cutting more of the signal on the top than the bottom, or vice versa. So the clipping is asymmetrical.
Right. Okay. Now, let's talk about that really quick, because I will see that a lot in like Rat clones and stuff like that, where that is an option. And when people, this kind of goes to that sunset thing that I was talking about, right? Maybe a little bit, where I felt it was just it was almost like too smooth. And one of the things that we like about analog things is that they're not perfect. They don't sound perfect. They're not so prescribed.
Right.
And especially when it comes to distortion, one of the big reasons that we like distortion is that we can't necessarily hear, oh, that's not symmetrical when it's doing like that. But that's kind of the thing that we like. Mm-hmm. And I don't, to me, it's like, well, I'm almost given the option to not have the thing that I like. That's a mental thing for me. When I see symmetrical clipping, I automatically say no. But I know that that's not fair to the symmetrical clipping of the world. I'm sorry, symmetrical clipping.
Well, some people like symmetrical.
Some people do. I just personally am like, no.
Yeah, I mean, I myself prefer the asymmetrical because asymmetrical is more on par to how a tube amp breaks up. It's more asymmetrical, like the way a tube is clipping the signal. Mm-hmm. So it sounds more amp-like.
Most importantly is the combination by which you are configuring these things, because that's where you get so many different sounds out of this. So, you've got 6 different positions. I don't know. Do the math on that. What's the square root of that?
There's 175 different tone options.
Is there really? I don't know, man. It's got to be kind of a way bigger number than we might think, though.
Well, it would be
just with
is it 6 factorial? 6 times 5 times 3 times
what?
6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Isn't it a factorial?
What did you just do? Is that math?
Yeah, math is. It's called a factorial. Look it up.
That's amazing.
That sounds like math.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love that. Whatever you just did. Now, I got a question for you. So, the MOSFET and the germanium, those are 2 things that we hear about all the time. Mm-hmm. Give us a little wine taster's note about what we might be expecting if you were to say MOSFET versus the germanium.
Yeah. So, to me, the MOSFET is it's using 2 MOSFET. It's using the protection diodes inside the MOSFET transistors to clip. But that has more of an edge to it, the sound. It's a little more aggressive versus the germanium, which is using germanium diodes. And I don't want to make it sound like they're magic diodes, but it's the ones you would put in a clon. And it's a softer sound. It's a little more delicate. Mm-hmm. And you can hear it right away, especially if you dime the gain. It'll really show you the difference in the characteristics in the sound. One is going to be a little more, like I said, it's going to have more of an edge to it, a little brighter even. Yep. And germanium tends to be a little more smooth.
Yeah.
And it kind of, similar to what a germanium and a silicon fuzz difference would be. You compare those types of transistors, one's smoother, one's a little more brash.
Right. So if you had you got your sweet old sunburst telly and your flat brim hat and you got your little tweed amp and you're gonna want to put it on symmetric and germanium and shake the neck and you're gonna be in heaven, right?
I think you'd want asymmetric.
Why?
Well, that's the beauty. You can flip around.
Well, I'm just saying, for that really, that super sweet, smooth telly
for the
sound.
super bitey thing is what you're going for.
Super sweet sound.
Bitey.
Yeah.
Germanium and the symmetrical is going to give you that smoother, sweeter sound.
Oh, no, I think you should put it over on the other side.
What are you talking about?
And then get it just so people's ears start to bleed when you play.
Yeah, that's what I do. Anyways, it's just really, it's cool because you can have this so many ways. It's the whopper of pedals, like a hamburger.
Yeah, and it has less switches than a Chase Bliss pedal.
It does, far less. Yeah. And do they all come in gold here?
Actually, no. I've been doing this thing where I make every batch a different color. So the batch I just finished up is like a kind of like a slate blue enclosure. Uh-huh. With with the same black control plate on top.
Right. It's well, this one is gold, and I absolutely love it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I love the gold.
Now, I did want to know one thing, and maybe this is something that I personally just don't necessarily understand that there would be this much difference between MOSFET and a germanium, but the germanium was significantly lower in volume.
Yeah, that's because it's clipping more of your signal, which is decreasing volume and adding compression. And that's it's a characteristic of that particular diode. It does cut more volume, but it'd just be something you would have to make up with the master volume.
Yeah. Cool. Well, and just in case anybody gets this and goes, "No, this thing's broken. It's not the same volume." Yeah. Like somebody like me might say if I didn't know any better. So, thank you for pointing that out. Now, aside from the Zeñor, which they're going to be sold out by the time we get done with this. What else do you have cooking out there?
Well, I do have a couple other pedals I make. I make like a little. Sorry, I think I got a drummer starting up in the room next to me or something. But,
a drummer or a motorcycle? What is that?
I know. Sounds like he's double bassing over there already. But yeah, I make like this little box. It does like 6 different functions. It's a blender, it's a booster, a buffer, and a splitter. So you can use it to just be a buffer for your signal. Uh-huh. You can use it as a booster. It has 40 dB of boost if you just want to boost your signal.
Wow.
It has a blending function, so it has a send and return loop. So you can stick a pedal in there that, say you want to put a bass through a Big Muff. Big Muff doesn't have a blend knob. Well, you can use this little pedal to blend in as much or less as you want of that wet signal. So this little box just has 2 knobs. It has a boost knob. When it's all the way down, it's buffering. As you turn it up, it boosts. And there's also another knob that's the blend knob between dry and wet. So it could blend, and it could also be a splitter. Say you go to the input, and then you can come out of the output and the send. So if you want to go into 2 different amps, you could use this little box to do that. And it also has a phase a phase reverse on the send. So if you have 2 amps that are in different phase from each other, you can flip that so the phase is correct. And also that could be say if you like to record 2 different amps at the same time in the same room. Sometimes people do that, but they don't realize the amps are out of phase. So you could use this box to correct it in the room so you don't have issues later. And it's also, it could be used as a mixer. You can come into the input, bring another signal into the return, and use the wet dry blend as a balance between the input and the return. And then you can use the boost as your output volume. So it's a cool little box.
Well, I think what's nice about it is, because I think we've talked many times on the show about a lot of guitar players like to use 2 different amps. And to be able to get the signal to go, to 2 different amps, you do need some sort of buffer amp or something like that so that, you're not really dragging on the signal. So that I think what you've done here is really cool, and it's
called the worm, everybody.
Yeah.
The worm.
I feel like it tends to confuse people because they're not sure what it is. But
the answer is yes to that. What is it? Yes.
Well, it says right there: blender, buffer, booster, splitter.
Yeah,
and it does it all.
You also have, you got a bunch of other really great pedals, which I encourage everybody to get to the website and check these out. There's a dual boost called the little guy, the dual little guy, which is really very cool, and also an extremely handsome stolen horse distortion, which I'm very. I love the design of that pedal.
That's a brutal one. That one.
It is. Is it?
Yeah.
That's a question.
Yeah. I was when I made that one, I was totally going for that kind of thrash sound that I remember from when I was younger. When I first started playing guitar, that's all I was listening to. So I kind of wanted to get that sound in a pedal.
Right.
And it took me a little while, but it's pretty cool. I love that thing. It's just, I mean, I don't use it in my band because it's not, it's too aggressive for what we play. But it's something I have on my board just because it's fun to play. Like, get those big, huge riffs and like big wall of sound kind of stuff.
It's funny because it sounds like every person who is playing any kind of country or Nashville style music would be like, I want that pedal.
Oh, right, because of the.
It just looks like it's like I got an old painted horse on it, and it's cool looking. I dig it.
And a horseshoe on the bottom.
And well, no, that's not a horseshoe. Is that a horseshoe or is it an Omega or an ohm?
It's an Omega. It's an ohm.
Omega.
That pedal is part of a different series I make called ohms pedals.
Mm-hmm. Well, that by horseshoe I meant
not horseshoe.
The ohm symbol.
Yes.
The ohm symbol.
Yeah. Thanks, Todd. Cool. Well, we need to know. Obviously, you've got great stuff, but I think getting to know a little bit about you before we motor on our way. What was your genesis like into music? Like, what was the thing that got you going, man?
Well, let me see. Well, when I was younger, I was just kind of listening to whatever was on the radio, right? And then I had a neighbor that kind of introduced me to funk. So he gave me crates and crates of records, and that was just all like Brothers Johnson, like Earth, Wind, and Fire. So I was super into bass. I didn't play bass, but I loved the sound of it. And then later I started skateboarding, and then I got into like hardcore music, like metal and thrash. And we had a pretty active hardcore scene in where I grew up. So
which
there was a lot of shows to go to. It was in Oxnard, California.
Right on. And you're you're in Long Beach now, which is my hometown.
Yep, I'm in Long Beach now. Been here for almost 15 years.
Cool.
But I grew up in Oxnard. There was a huge hardcore scene there. And my first real show was I went to go see Bane and Poison the Well and I think what were they called? Hatebreed at the Ventura Theater.
Oh, Hatebreed, yeah.
And I remember just like that moment, like I had like this huge adrenaline rush, and I was like, "Oh my God, I want to make those sounds." So that's when I became obsessed with playing guitar, and then that's all I did, like day and night. And electronics was like a different start. That was like something I always messed with since I was a kid. Like I would take my parents' stuff apart and eventually learn how to put it back together.
Like their microwave.
Yeah, microwave.
Don't
TV,
do that at home, kids. By the way, don't do that.
Phones, everything. But yeah, and then once I started playing music, I wanted to experiment with different pickups and stuff, and then the prices for getting that done were just crazy for me at that time. So I learned how to solder and how to do basic things on my gear. And then slowly I started learning how to mod stuff, and I started modding like DL4s, Line 6 DL4s.
Yeah.
With like extra presets and instant looper mode things. And
if there's one thing that needs is more things.
Yeah. Seriously.
Well done.
And then from there, I actually worked for a different pedal company for a couple of years.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know if I should say it, but...
you can say it. If I need to erase it, you can tell me.
Well, they're not a company anymore, so I don't think it mattered.
Oh.
It was for Full Tone.
Oh, yeah, okay. I can understand why you're right.
Yeah, I won't say much about it, but I made a lot of their pedals. I worked from home making their stuff, and then I would just bring it over when it was all built. But I worked for them for a while, and then eventually I ended up leaving that job, and then that's when I started my own thing, like officially. Like my friends already called me Stax, so I was like, oh well, Stax FX. Like I didn't really want to think about it too much. Just go, just start doing something. I started doing my own thing, and I started making the first things I started with were like boosts, and I was doing like derivatives of big muffs, stuff like that. And then I was always playing in bands. I was like, when I first started Stax, I was like in 5 bands. It was insane. Yeah, I started slowly, little by little, making more of my own original things as I was learning the craft more and electronics more. Like I always knew basic electronics, but kind of was getting more in depth with with things I wanted to do. I didn't know how to do, so I just did a ton of research. YouTube by this point was full of tutorials on everything. So I just watched every video I could. I read every book I could. I made friends with techs, and they gave me material to read. And little by little, I just was able to make what I thought was cooler and cooler stuff. And then eventually started making amps once I started being afraid of working with high voltage. And so I've made a couple of amps at this point, maybe around 10 or 15. Not too many.
That's more than a couple, man.
Yeah, well, yeah,
I'm not sure if you're familiar with math.
Well, yeah, it's each one is, I feel like, is just a little significantly better as I'm working with like high school woodshop skills, so I'm like trying to kind of learn the best way to still do the cabinet and all of that stuff. But,
right, but let's clarify: you are not doing high school electronic skills. This is a really, really great build, everybody.
Yeah. So my main thing was always I was trying to just take lessons from the guys that I read about, like obviously like Alexander Dumbbell and Ken Fisher, like all those guys. They have tons of literature and stuff, and you can learn a lot just about just by once you learn how to read schematics. Obviously, you can stare at a schematic for hours and listen to the amps and kind of figure out how it's doing this, how it's doing that, how did they do this, or how are they doing that. But it's all just R&D. Like you build yourself a prototype and you just experiment and you change things, and sometimes things happen by accident and you're like, whoa, this thing sounds insane right now. I don't need this sound right now, but I'm gonna take notes and remember that for later, or something. But there's always like happy little experiments and results, and then sometimes it's not at all what it should be, on paper. And that's kind of where like the art of it comes in, like there's so many things that you have to pay attention to for something to sound a certain way. Like even just the proximity of the components to each other makes a difference. Mm-hmm. So those are all little things that I just, I try to pay attention to. I'm not like a snobby guy or a purist or anything like that, but I just try to do the things that I know will work the best they can, and then go from there and just experiment. And then that's usually where I end up with something cool.
What's one of the most valuable lessons you've learned as a builder?
Oh man,
let me qualify that. It doesn't have to be a lesson on how to do something. It could just be like, what's something that made an impact. You're like, oof, this is important.
Right. Well, funny enough, I used to work at Rode Microphones for a while, and the head tech there was an amp guy too.
Ah.
And I was having a lot of issues with my pedals being really noisy at the time, and there was a lot of things that I wasn't thinking of or knew about when it comes to proper power filtering for a circuit. Like, because everything is amplified, the amplification is coming from the voltage, right? The voltage is converted into signal. But that voltage needs to be clean, because if that voltage that it's drawing from to create the amplification isn't good, you're just amplifying bad signal or bad power. Mm-hmm. So I think that was the biggest thing for me, was learning how to properly filter and decouple power stages. that was like the biggest thing for me, because I always knew everything needs power. Oh, it just needs the power. Like, just give it power. But it's like you need to condition that power in order to make it as most, the best it could be for your, especially if you're doing audio circuits. Because any little noise can be introduced by not doing that correctly. And I always just wrote it off as like, whatever, it's a dirt pedal, it's noisy, like it doesn't matter. But the little things you learn over time that just make a difference that, I don't know, that you don't really think about unless someone tells you.
Yeah. Well, it is nice when you plug in a pedal that is a drive, and it doesn't just sound like, I'm on.
Or sometimes when you go and like say you use a dirt pedal into a dirty amp, it introduces a ton of noise if the power's not done right.
Yeah.
And that's how I found out that I was having that issue. I was trying to go and driving into already dirty amps, but I was like, this doesn't sound right,
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. I think, we do have a lot of people who are building either professionally, semi-professionally, or just hobbyists. And I think it's always keen to share things, like what's the thing that you kind of learn that you apply on a daily basis with your passion or your craft.
I think, I think a lot, I'm sort of a perfectionist when it comes to certain things. I try not to be. Like, I really try not to be. I feel like something. Whenever I build something, I always try really hard to make it look good, even though it doesn't really matter.
It does matter.
Yeah, it's just like I'm always like, some people might never open this thing, but if you do, like, it has to look good. Like the same for the amps, right? They don't have, unless they're going to recap it 15, 20 years from now, there's no reason to open it. But
unless you're me and you open it immediately.
which I'm really glad you did, because I was like, oh, wow, that's so cool. Like, you actually looked at the guts.
It's like looking at a car. It's like you got braided lines in there. You got all gold components. I'm like, heck yeah.
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 And there's a lot of really, there's a lot of companies that are paying attention to that stuff, and it's really cool. Like, you guys know the R2R electronic guy.
Yeah. Yep. He's been on a couple shows.
Freaking unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like that guy, and then Bryce from Paperboy Pedals. That guy's work is phenomenal too. He does all point-to-point stuff. You should check him out. His name is Bryce Nickel. He runs Paperboy Pedals. He
I'll have
makes
to
some
check
awesome
that out.
stuff.
I'm not actually familiar with Paperboy. We in the land of point to point, so to speak, I guess, or the floating the floating guts.
Yeah,
as I try to explain it.
I have a couple of his pedals, and they're all freaking awesome.
Yeah, we've got Reeves Electro, who's been on in the past, and he's going to be on in a couple weeks. Very excited about that.
Yeah.
His stuff's very
super
cool.
nice guy too. Holy mackerel, is great to talk to.
It's like sculpture.
It really is. It's beautiful.
Yeah. He's his stuff is freaking phenomenal. It's very unique. I've never spoken to him or anything, but I've been following him for quite a while.
He's a very approachable and really down to earth dude. So
yeah. I gotta reach out to him.
Hey, Reeves.
Don't talk to me, Todd.
He's great, and we're very excited because the show that is going to be revealing something new coming out of his shop. So it's going to be super exciting.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But
Cool.
I'm able to catch him every once in a while, and we have a little video chat, and it's great to see somebody that you share things that you whomever that might be. That you share a passion about things with and can get on really well. So we appreciate him, and everybody else is doing the good stuff out there, including you, man. Thank you. We really appreciate that you've brought something new to the table that we can all enjoy.
Thank you. Again, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Tony, we got one more thing for Mr. Miguel to deal with here.
It's the very fabulous part of the show.
Yes.
Everyone's favorite part of the show, apparently, I'm told.
Yeah. Yes. Especially Jared's.
Where we hop in the El Camino.
Oh,
Yeah.
We're hopping in right now.
Yes. We're gonna jump in mine on 68.
Ooh, very nice.
No,
With
it's
the
not
jump
68.
seats in the
60.
back.
66.
So, yeah. So there's room
Yeah.
for you, Miguel. You can jump in the back.
Perfect.
I'm driving, though. And then we're going to drive down to Nashville and see our good friend Jared relaxing on his deck.
Yes.
Throw a beer at him. But anyhow, this part of the show is a little ditty we call a Would You Rather. That's the short
Yeah.
version.
That was pretty tame, but that's
What
okay.
do you
We'll
want?
go.
You want better?
Whatever.
You want better?
I don't think you can.
What are you saying?
I don't think you can do it better.
Oh.
You're saying I can't do better?
I think it's about to.
Would you rather?
Little pitchy dog. All right, get to it.
Alrighty. So this week's Would You Rather is brought to us by our good friend Bruce Bacon.
Oh, Bruce to the rescue.
Bruce Bacon. I'm hungry. Every time I
Bruce.
every time I say that, I just get hungry. Well, Bruce says Todd,
Yes.
meaning Todd and Tony.
Yes. That's a given.
While we have everyone in Vox headspace.
Yes, and for your edification, Miguel, in case you or someone else hasn't heard it, we just did a Vox 101 show. So we all things Vox we covered.
All things Vox.
All right.
Vox amps.
So here's Bruce's Would You Rather. You're walking down the street and you see a Ma and Pa music store that has 2 Vox clones in the front window. You think to yourself, oh, this will give me a chance to test drive these side by side and see what I like. You take one step toward the door and whoosh,
Oh, my.
your spirit guide appears.
Oh.
It's the ghost of Frank Zappa.
What?
Yes. Yes, he's there.
Was he a Vox guy?
Can I
Okay, sorry.
continue? Can I continue?
Yeah, please.
I mean, come on, Todd.
Okay.
So here's what Frank has to say. He says, decelerate, my compadre. I know you want to try these amps out, but, what if I could save you some funds? I'll gladly pay the Ma and Pa for the amp you choose, man, but you cannot try them out. No. Your Uncle Frankie, that's me. He played a Super Beetle with 2 Marshalls. So, there's no wrong choice, my 6-string friend.
Perfect.
So here's what it is. In the window, there's 2 amps. You're choosing between a Henry SRT Plus head.
We've had Henry on the show.
Yes. And a Morgan Dual 20 head. We're applying the Tony Dudzik rule. That's me. Which means you're getting a matching 2x10 cabinet loaded with vintage Celestion Alnico speakers that Tony, me, is personally choosing. And Bruce warns, he says, be nice to Tony because he could pick one with a blown voice coil.
No, you don't want that, man.
No, you just definitely don't want that. Not especially with these amps. They're pretty nice. So let's talk a little bit about the amps of your choices. So there's the Henry SRT Plus head.
Episode 114.
Yes, thank you. It is based off an obscure Vox AC10 SRT Super Reverb Twin and popularized on the Doug and Pat show.
Yes.
Doug and Pat.
Doug and Pat.
And Frank.
And Frank. Right.
It's a single channel amp that has an original clean low cut switch, volume, tone, tremolo speed, and depth, reverb dwell, and mix knobs. And to make things equal, let's throw in the power reduction circuit too.
Ooh.
Okay.
That's a powerful
cool.
bit of stuff there.
Yeah.
Henry makes some mighty fine stuff and does a lot of really cool aesthetics to it too.
Absolutely, he does. Option 2, it's the Morgan Dual 20 head. And now the Morgan Dual 20 is an AC30 style amp with switchable top boost and normal channels, of course. It includes variable power. Normal channel has volume treble switch and bass switch. So you have, I guess, some ability to kind of contour your things.
Which model is that one more time?
It's the Morgan Dual 20.
The Dual 20.
The Dual 20.
The Dual 20.
And the top boost channel has volume, bass, and treble knobs. Then there is a global switch to reduce the high frequencies. The cut switch, which also appears on the Zeñor.
Mm-hmm.
So what you gonna choose?
Okay. Well, Tony,
yes,
you're always first.
Thank you.
We're gonna check in with Miguel.
Well, out of these two, I think, I think I'm going to go with the Morgan because it is probably the closest to, the AC30 circuitry. The other amp is really cool. It's based off the AC10 SRT, and you've got some, you've got reverb and you've got the trem circuit, which is pretty cool. But I just love the sound of an AC30. And in my case, I have an AC15 because my AC30 was just too loud. I mean, it was too heavy. And so this, I think you're getting the sound out of the Morgan that's going to be probably closer to the AC30.
Okay.
So that's my choice.
All right. And Miguel, what are you doing?
Well, I've never really seen the Henry amplification stuff too much, but it does look really cool. But I have used the Morgan stuff, and I love their kind of build aesthetic and the way they build their amps. And I think it's closer to AC30s that I've played because I had a DC30 for a while. And that cut control is very useful. So
yeah, especially when you're getting up into louder volumes.
And you got like a Strat or a Tele plugged in. Like it's pretty essential to not get those highs that are taking your head off.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'd have to go with the Morgan also.
All right,
I'm gonna go with the Henry. We've had him on the show, and I really appreciated how he talked about his builds. And not having played either of those two, I still haven't played a Henry yet. But I'm gonna go down that path. I think some of the things that you mentioned that are on the SRT sounded very intriguing to me. So I'm gonna go with that one.
Okay, well then I'm going to pick out the blown speaker cabinet for you.
Okay. Gotcha.
So there.
Gotcha. I like it.
Well, thank you, Bruce. That was fun. Because those are two great amps.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt about it.
It's actually very difficult to choose from.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it's 50%, 51% or 49%. You can go either way on that.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So,
or just get both.
Get both. Frank's footing the bill.
Yeah, exactly. So, Miguel, we need to say thanks to a few people, and then we're going to send you on your merry way to go make some music, okay?
Sure.
That's right, Todd, because at this point of the show, there's a special group of people we love to thank. These are our executive producers. Now, Miguel's probably wondering, what is this executive producer? Well, Miguel, an executive producer makes this show possible. How do you become one? Well, you go over to patreon.com/The Guitar Knobs. Check out a couple different levels in which you can participate, become a sponsor, a patron of the podcast, and help us make this show possible. Each level comes with some very nice thank you gifts, and I do mean very nice things. Todd is always sending out nice thank you gifts.
I'm trying, and the more stuff that we get, the more stuff we try to move.
That is correct.
Yes.
But as an executive producer, there's one thing more. Jared, what is that?
Get to have your name read on the thing.
That's right. You get to have your name read on the thing. And that's what I'm going to do right now. So special thanks to these executive producers. Moon Guitars, Vader Pedals, John Halverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Mac D, Richard Kendall, Mark Garton, James White, Justin Jones, Anthony Gemalero, Bill Gola Guitars, John Esterle, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Doug Christ, Darren Gregory, Tom Brazen, Rusty Sneeden, Ralph Gottschalk, Don Kloss, Gregory Randall, Brett Hogarth, Eric Hemmer, Stuart George, Michael Furman, James Bell, James Romer, Cameron Pampas, David Tyndall, Trevor Ellenberg, and Christopher Logan.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. But wait, Todd, there's more. Because there's a special group of executive producers. We call them our Grand Poobahs. These fine people.
I hear they're on tour for the summer. They're actually in a caravan of orange Winnebagos.
Yes, they're doing that. And the band's name is called Winnie the Pooh.
What?
Bah.
Winnie the Pooh Bah. Oh, that's pretty good. Okay, there you go.
Because they're in
that's
Winnebagos.
Really good.
They're in Winnebagos.
That's pretty fast, Tony.
Well,
you're not so fast usually.
Well, sometimes those gears turn, and other times I just fall into it.
That's fantastic. All right.
So special thanks.
So Winnie the Pooh's, oh boy.
Winnie the
Okay,
Pooh
go ahead.
Bahs.
Yes.
So special thanks to these Grand Poobahs on tour now. Tommy Manasco, Ricardo Igareda, David Kaminga, Brandon Wound Pickups, Hex Matos, Michio Murakishi, Bob Crouch, Jack Cadian, Sam Jett, Tyler Rhines, LSJ Music Company, John Williams, James Pennington, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Cody Foster, Science of Sound, Brian Robison, Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, Michael Van Zant, Tim Nowak, Jonathan Daly, Martin Cliff, Sean S. David Poe, Billy Spitfire Unlimited, Congregation Gear Demos, Paul Van Eppinger, Scott Sullivan, Great Lakes Guitar Pickups, and Matt Hart.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. We truly appreciate you, and we could not do the show without your help.
Absolutely.
Mr. Miguel, where can people get a hold of you to get your awesome pedals?
Yeah, you can go over to stackseffects.com. I have all my pedals that are in stock available there, or you could also follow me on Instagram. I usually post pretty often of whatever I'm working on or any new stuff or what have you. But yeah, you can find me on those two things pretty easily.
Great. And Tony?
Head over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the things that I do, things I have you can buy online, but mostly what I do is custom work. So shoot me an email, let me know what you need, what you're trying to do, and I will take very good care of you.
That is correct. You can shoot me an email, todd@theguitarknobs.com. You can also DM me on Instagram at guitarknobs. Love to hear you would you rathers. Also, please, if you have an HX Stomp or other similar kind of multi-effects unit, and you need to protect those knobs, and you need to go over to flinteffects.com and get a stomper. Okay, get that thing on your machine.
Protect your knobs.
Protect your knobs. Also, be on the lookout. Valentino's got new music out. Should be dropping from Spotify by the time this comes out. I'm crossing my fingers. But we're getting lots of radio play, and we're so grateful to the DJs at CD 92.9 here in Columbus.
Hey, speaking of CD 92.9, you know what I heard on the way in today?
What's that?
The Buzzcocks, Ever Fallen in Love.
Why is that? That's great.
I know, it's a great song.
It's a great song.
But you never hear it.
No.
You never hear it.
I am appreciative of that.
So thanks, CD 92.9.
Yeah. That might have actually been Tom, because he's on from 3 to 7 this week.
I don't know.
Yeah, talking to him on Thursday, so I'll point that out to him.
Yes.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we need to give Mr. Stacks Effects, Miguel, a huge thank you for making great stuff,
yes,
and for being on the show,
yes,
and sharing your story with us. Thank you so much, Miguel.
Hey, thank you guys. It's very nice to have me on.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you have a fantastic guitar week. And subscribe!
Yeah.
He's the runner-up of Miss Youngstown Polska Kielbasa festival.
The eating, yeah.
Oh wow,
I eat more kielbasa than any other person.
man.
Miguel.
Hey Todd, how you doing?
Oh man, you sound fresh.
Let me know if my levels are
Fresh.
good.
Lots of experience.
Yes.
Well, yeah, you train and you train. And
And train
Oh,
some
he's
more.
trained.
gonna happen.
He's trained. Amazing.
That's really cool. That's really cool that you found that.
Yeah. Oh man, what are you, a psychiatrist or something? What's with his voice?
How does that make you feel?
Tell me more about your childhood.
Tell me. How do you
Off
feel
of the
about
hat to
that?
Thomas Dolby right there.
Yes.
Oh boy.
It's me, Clem Fandango.
Yeah. Did you ever watch Toast of London?
No, I'm not familiar with it actually.
Oh man, you like fun, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
No.
Where he said, "Yeah, I went from like 50 a week to 400 a month." No,
Oh my god.
was I right? That is 400 a month, 50 a week.
No.
It was 50 a month.
Maybe in
To
your foreign math.
50 a month. What?
Half of that.
He was doing about 50 a week.
Man, I'm so bad at math.
And then I thought he said
400 a week
400 a week.
times.
Wow.
Oh
That's-
wow, I got that really messed up then.
Yeah, because it was like
I did
it
do
was-
bad math on that.
It was
All right.
Cool. We'll just wing it.
Yeah,
you
that
seem
sounds
like a
good.
wing it kind of guy.
Yeah, I work well under pressure. So.
Yeah. Do you want to eat? Yes. When?
Of course.
Sure.
Absolutely. Where?
Okay. And we've quoted it so many times, and it's most fun to quote when people aren't even looking.
Yeah.
It's great. Yes.
Awesome. Nice.
Yeah, that didn't rhyme at all.
He was winging it.
Yeah,
He was
go
winging
back.
it.
Yeah.
hey, I'm just winging it.
Go
man.
back to yeah. It's cool when Miguel wings it. It's less cool when you wing it.
Yep.
And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.